What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dissect That Film's Fresh Cuts, where we sit down and talk about new release movies out on your favorite streaming services or in theaters. Today, we're finally sitting down to talk about Marvel's newest blockbuster, Thor: Love and Thunder. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, the wonderful Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming.
Hello.
Hello. So it's been a while since we've done one of these, but I think I remember how to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off spoiler-free. We're going to voice our opinions on the movie without any spoilers, and then once we run out of things to talk about, non-spoilers, we are going to spoil the shit out of this movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, make sure to go see Thor: Love and Thunder, and then come back and listen to the rest of this review. So, I don't know who wants to start. Somebody start.
I'll go first. Okay, cool.
And non-spoilers, what'd you think about this movie?
I thought the movie was pretty good. I don't think it was as good as I had hoped it to be because of my how I hold the previous film in this franchise in I would hold in very high regard. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies, and that may have skewed my opinion or my enjoyment a little bit. But that saying, I did like the movie. I did find it enjoyable. I liked how, I could say he's in the trailer, Gore.
Yeah.
I like how Gore was handled. Gore was probably one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. This was a much more comedic film than even Ragnarok. And I think Ragnarok balanced it much better. I think they went a little too ham-fisted, in my opinion, with some of the comedy, which I'll talk about when we get the spoilers. There's one part of this movie which falls into, which I've bitched about before in other movies, I'm not going to say what it is, that I absolutely hated. Probably my one biggest issue I have with the movie. Some of the cinematography was cool, like some of the treatments they did with where they end, the different places they end up going. But I thought it was a good movie. I definitely think it's something you need to see in theater if you're a fan of Thor or any of the Marvel movies. And I'll talk a little bit more about it in the spoiler section and whatnot. But it feels to me like a lot of the Phase 4 MCU movies have. But there you go, Darren.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same. I love the black and white areas.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It was really cool how they just muted everything except for some of what color they wanted.
Yep.
What they wanted in there. I find that really neat. Love Gore. Needs more Korg. Love Korg. He's my favorite. There was a few places that I was like, I could leave it, take it or leave it. Wasn't necessary. But for the most part, I liked it.
This was kind of a meh movie to me. It just, like, I watched it and I went, I don't hate it, but I'm just like in this mindset. I'm like, I understand where they're going in Phase 4. Like, I understand the end game here and who the big baddie is and all that stuff, because if you watch the shows, you'll figure it out. But which is kind of annoying that you have to watch the shows in order to figure out certain things about what the movies are doing. And it's just like Phase 4 is kind of just like, I mean, the movies are fine, but I feel like we're not going anywhere. We're just kind of focusing on one thing at a time. Like, we're doing, like, hey, here's a couple multiverse movies, and now here's Thor doing this thing that really doesn't affect anything else other than just Thor. And my biggest issue with this movie is that I figure they could not figure out the tone, like where they wanted to go. It's like, hey, here's a bunch of jokes, but here's a really serious part, and then here's some jokes right after that serious part. I'm like, I'm fine with the comedy of Marvel. I've watched every movie they've put out. And there's a lot of comedy in Marvel compared to if you watch like
Mhm.
DC. And like Ragnarok, I'm with you, Dan. Like it is one of my favorite Marvel movies. It's probably one of my favorite superhero movies because it was so
Yeah.
well done from beginning to end. Had a
Mhm.
really convincing villain. It all in the end, though, it led to the bigger picture of what is about to happen with the Infinity Saga. I just feel Marvel just doesn't they have an idea, but it's not really going the way the fans want it to go because
I think
like
Fate oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying like they're kind of lost after the Infinity Saga ended. Like Endgame, post Endgame has kind of just been like we've gotten some entertaining stuff, but it's like I really want to see the progression of like what's going to happen. Like it doesn't need to be always leading to that same end, but like give me the little bits of those little bits like they did at the end of all the phase 1 movies or even phase 2 where it all led up to Thanos. Like we know Kang is the big bad for phase 4 and 5. Spoiler alert for Loki, like you figure
Well,
that out.
I don't even think they say his name, do they? In Loki? They just kinda
No, but
hint at him?
but I mean, that's ultimately what you kind of the picture you that is painted for you.
Yeah, I think there's too much padding in Phase 4. I literally think it's like you said, it's like, "Alright, we need to do these movies for these franchises, but we don't wanna, like, push the agenda too hard," but, like, that's what we want. We don't want this meandering because it's just, like, literally that's it. It's like this is like a sampler platter, like, "Oh, here's more cosmic stuff," or, "Here's more multiversal stuff," just to kinda get you guys a flavor for it, and then we're gonna really lean but, like, we have to have something. You're not even dangling a carrot in front of our face. You're just like, things are
Yeah.
just happening.
Christian Bale was the best part of this movie,
Yeah, I
but
agree.
he was in the wrong movie. Like
He was.
he was like he's such Christian Bale is such a talented actor and he did such a good job with Thor, but it just didn't seem like he was put in the right movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like and the one thing that really drove me nuts about this movie, and I've had complaints about it in when we talked about another movie that is far beyond worse than this. I mean, but it's jokes that go on for too long.
Yes.
Like they play up a joke, it's
Yep.
funny, you're like, haha, but then it goes on for like 30 seconds, and you're like, we get it. Just please move on.
Maybe that's the thing to do these days. I'm
I
seeing a lot
guess.
more movies, I guess. I don't know. It's just
To be honest,
like I said,
I've talked. I love Taika Waititi, and I think he
I
has
do.
done a great job with pretty much everything that he has done. But I feel like this is my least favorite Taika Waititi anything. I just didn't. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like walk out going, "Man, that was a great movie."
Yep. I didn't have that. I
To
was
be
like,
honest, I
it was all
don't.
right.
This is like it's one of those ones where I was like, I don't even know if I'll go back. Like I'm gonna watch this again. It's on what's on Disney Plus. I know my kids will want to watch it or whatever, and I'll be sucked into watching it. But it's just not like Ragnarok.
See, I think you're right. I think we'll get into this in sports. I think there were too many there was these really heavy, serious notes in the
Mhm.
movie with multiple different characters. But, like, all of that was just blatantly washed over with jokes. Like, there
Yeah,
was no balance. It was either jokes and be ridiculous or be, like, really somber and serious. Like, there was no, like, median ground or none of that. It was just
yeah.
like one or the other.
We'll talk
Very
a little bit more in the spoilers about like certain things that just don't make
yeah.
sense, especially if you think back to. I mean, yes, Thor and Thor: The Dark World are probably some of the weakest Marvel movies, but
Mhm.
but those were the movies that established this character and other characters in this universe. And I feel like like Ragnarok, yes, it made it more comedic, but it made sense the way that Thor acted and and everybody in that universe. But then with this one, it's just like they brought back certain characters that weren't in Ragnarok that were in those other two, and they played them as a like they were just it was just all jokes, like just
Mhm.
jokes here, there, and everywhere. I'm like, I get it, and I appreciate comedy. I'm not trying to bash this thing for that. Like, yeah, I laughed at a lot of this movie.
Mm.
I mean, the screaming goats, for crying out loud. Like, every time those stupid things would like, what the, why am I laughing? They're so stupid.
I loved
But it
them.
was funny. But yeah, we'll get a little bit more, talk a little bit more about that in the spoilers. So this Thor: Love and Thunder was released July 8th, 2022 on a $250 million budget. And as of right now, it has grossed $601.7 million box office. The seventh highest grossing film of 2022. This one was again directed by Taika Waititi, who directed Ragnarok. He also wrote this, which is a lot different than Ragnarok. He didn't write Ragnarok, so you can kind of see the
Yeah.
tonal differences with,
Yep.
This is a Taika, that his hands were more involved in this one. This is, of course, Chris Hemsworth back as Thor, Christian Bale as our villain Gore, the God Butcher, which is such a badass name.
It is. It
We got
really
Tessa
is.
Thompson back as Valkyrie. She is awesome. Taika Waititi, who does the voice of Korg, and Natalie Portman's back. There's a couple other people that are on this list that I'll talk about in the spoilers because they weren't all in the trailer. Well, I guess I could say Russell Crowe is in this.
Yeah.
You see him in the trailer. He plays
You do.
Zeus. So there you go. The music was done by Michael Giacchino, but also by Nami Melamad. So I guess co-op composers there. This was just under 2 hours. So we're a little late to the party in the review of this movie. So there's been a lot of podcasts and stuff covering this movie, and a lot that I've listened to already. And I guess there is a Taika Waititi, I guess, there's an 8-hour, like they filmed like 8 hours of this movie. Like there is like footage that could make 8 hours worth of this. And I guess
Please don't.
Marvel made him cut a lot of stuff that would have made this, I feel, a more interesting movie. I'm like, how do you have that much to put in this movie and you're under 2 hours? Like, I would have took another half hour if you just gave me a little bit more.
2 hours of goat screaming.
No, I would have walked out. I mean, there's only so much of the goat screaming I can take. Or, to be honest, I love Korg in Ragnarok. I did not really care for him in this one. He was kind of annoying.
He was not as charming. He was overutilized.
Yeah.
He was used too much because I like it when he's kind of used sparing, where he's got like a quip here and there, but then there's just things where like focus on him and focus on him and focus on him.
Yeah. And
but that's a lot of what this movie had issues with, in my opinion. So
it's just
it's okay.
It was a movie.
Okay.
It was a movie. This was one of the
my line.
This is one of the weaker Marvel movies for me when it comes to Phase 4.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna base it off of Phase 4.
That,
I mean, you have Spider-Man No Way Home, which is huge.
Fantastic.
It's probably my favorite movie of Phase 4. Probably one of my favorite movies in the MCU. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. You got your, it's kind of, that movie kind of feels like this one, where it's like I feel like they had a lot more, but they had to cut a lot of it, or it would have made a more compelling story. But to be honest, I like Doctor Strange more than I like this.
Yes, I agree.
But like, is it better than Eternals? Yes. Eternals probably one of the worst. Even though I'm one of those people that I'm like, I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine.
Same. It was okay.
I watched the whole thing, was like, all right, it's there, it exists.
That's what I thought about it too.
It's just not memorable. I think that's the thing, is like, and to me, this movie wasn't memorable to me. Like, after I was done, I was like, yeah, there were some good performances and good set pieces and stuff like that, but it just didn't it just didn't impact me like Ragnarok. Like I want to watch Ragnarok right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that good.
Yep.
And Christian Bale, he's just so good. I mean, if I were to go back and rewatch this movie, which I will, like I said before, I have children and I'm just a sucker. I've watched a lot of bad Marvel movies and bad Marvel shows and stuff, so I guess I could rewatch this again. But Oh, I just literally lost my train of thought of what the hell that whole point was. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, Christian Bale would it be my major reason to go back to watch this movie?
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
he's so good. He's just so good. Do you guys have anything else non-spoilers before we hop into the spoiler cast here?
I'm good. I'm just
No.
staring at my wife.
All right. So if you haven't seen Thor: Love and Thunder and you don't want to be spoiled, then get out of here, go see the movie, come back when you're done, watch the
Yep.
rest of this review. So if you've watched it this far, if you stop it, you come back, you don't even have to like find where you left off. It'll save it for you. So
Yep.
come back and
True facts.
watch the rest or listen to the rest, however you listen or watch our show. So here we go. Spoilers. Spoilers.
Spoilers.
You've been warned.
Spoilers.
All right. Let's talk
Not the ones that go
spoilers
in the back
here.
of cars.
Angela, what were some things that you really liked about this movie? God, I can't talk.
Say all the bad things.
It's okay.
All the bad things.
Words are hard. Did you just about flip?
Yes, I forgot I had the lever down so that my chair can recline, and I went to just sit back, and I almost went backwards.
Your eyes just went. Woo.
I was like, "Whoa!" I've only had one beer, I swear.
This is it for me. I ain't going nowhere. This chair is pretty solid. What did I like about it? Let's see. I love Valkyrie in this a lot. I love the whole story with Jane Foster, like bringing her back, and how her and Mjolnir were
like how they got together.
Like how they got together.
So
how they got together.
So yeah, so it is a
love
storyline from the comics.
Yes.
Of her getting cancer, and then this was the only thing that kept her alive. Oh no, I'm just stating that. I'm just
I didn't know.
I thought it was a great touch. I actually liked that storyline from this because I was worried. I was like, oh boy, how are we gonna do this? And then like I actually had it spoiled for me. It didn't like ruin the movie for me, but I thought they handled it well.
Yeah.
But like the whole thing with Thor saying, telling Mjolnir to keep her safe and everything, and it ends up being a double-edged sword for her, though.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that flashback where they show like their relationship, like after the dark. So that all happens right after Dark World, because when they see each other again, it's like, oh, how long has it been? Like a few years. And he's like 8 years and like 5 months or something like that. He knew the exact amount of time.
Yeah.
But that flashback where you see how their relationship starts off really nice, and then it just starts to crumble like like a lot of relationships.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I really love gore. I really love the whole beginning to end. I mean, it kind of tugs on your heartstrings because his daughter,
especially if you're a parent,
it
gets you right in the feels. I was like, yep.
I'm like, damn it.
He's a tragic character.
Don't make me cry.
He's a very tragic character because it's not like he's not just that generic villain. Like, I'm just a bad guy. Like, no, he's a grieving parent who discovers that the gods that he was praying to and like trying, like hoping they protect him, were just a joke.
Yeah, bunch of jackasses.
And then, of course, the sword that he uses, the necro sword.
Yeah,
is
because it's right there by.
It corrupts him. It it causes him to do a lot of the things that he does. So I like that whole touch, and that's why Gore is so good. It's just he's not in the right movie.
He's not. It's unfortunate. He's great when he's on screen, but I feel he was wasted.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah. His whole design though.
Oh yeah.
I guess he's more like decaying himself, like with all his
the tattoos.
You see,
like
you see more. Yeah, you see more. I don't know if it happens each time he kills a god.
Well, he mentions when he talks to Jane that what's happening to him is killing him too, because he realizes she has cancer, and he says the same thing about him. He's dying too.
So I guess there was a deleted scene, or there was like something on the cutting room floor where it actually shows Gore like scarring himself because they're not just natural things that come like show up on his body. Like
Oh, okay.
he actually carves them into himself.
That'd have
Also,
been cool.
so the design of Gore changed based from what the comic book version of him looks like because he looks a lot like so the reason that they went with what they went with in this movie is because his design in the comic looks kind of like Voldemort from the Harry Potter movies. So they were
Okay, that's
like, we
fair.
don't want him to look, because Harry Potter fans be all up in arms. Is like, even though whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, so that's why he looks the way he looks. But he looks fucking cool. He looks
he does look very cool.
really cool.
Strong, cool.
Strong, cool.
Mm-hmm.
What else did I like? For the most part, I did like the screaming goats because that's just my thing. I love.
So that
I
whole
think they could have toned it down a little bit, though. I liked it when they would randomly pass and you'd hear them.
yeah,
Like I
I
liked that,
I
but
didn't
not when
mind
they
it.
were like, that's all they did in their scene.
Yeah, was it a little bit much? Yeah, sometimes, but it wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh my god, shut the like. But I guess that whole thing was based on a meme. It was a Taylor Swift song,
Yeah,
Yes.
and then the screaming goat and like the chorus part, and that's where the
Yes.
whole thing, like the whole
Mhm.
reason for him having the scream. I was like, oh, of course, Taika Waititi.
But it's just like when they run into the planet or whatever
They
they
just
consider it, when they just headbutt
they
it
just
right
had
into
the
it. It's like, oh,
what?
okay.
Yeah.
Is this a planet or just a rock? Like,
I think it's just a rock. I mean, I don't know, but I like the whole play on shadows and everything.
yeah, that black
That
and
just
white world is really cool.
I loved it.
Shadow Realm. It's where all the bad guys in Yu-Gi-Oh go. It's fine. Damn it.
What did we think of omnipotent city? I could, fuck it,
Oh,
I'm not
oh,
saying that word again. The
okay.
one that
Oh,
Zeus is
Omnipotent
king
City.
over? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it just poised out. It was just a stab at the fallacy of gods, worshiping gods.
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean, outside of, I'm sure there's some. No offense, I'm sure most of our listeners are probably Christianity or Christians, but there's probably some underlying text in there where they were stupid about something too, or God did something dumb. But anyway, you notice that a lot in other ones about like just the vanity of gods, but like in Greek mythology,
Well, Zeus was the
Norse
biggest
mythology,
one.
and stuff like that. Yeah, like you hear about that, and I think they just played on that. Like gods are just a bunch of fuckheads. Like that's
I
kind
mean,
of the
you
whole
see
thing.
it in the opening scene
Yep.
when Gore finds his god. I can't remember what his god's name was. Rapu?
I don't remember either.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't and he finds him in this oasis and he's just a fucking dick. Just,
Yep.
oh, here's another one. Oh, this one must be mine. Why don't you
Yep.
just go
Yep.
die? I was like, what the? So I guess the guy who played him was, I guess, is one of like he was in no, was it in the I Know What You Did in the Shadows, the vampire movie with Taika Waititi.
Oh yeah.
He was one of the
Yeah.
three main vampires in that movie.
Oh, was he?
Oh,
Okay.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Shadows?
Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't like this scene. I
I didn't
liked
either.
the opening a lot. Like it's super like gut wrenching, especially like you
Yeah.
see Gore wandering through this desert. He's got his daughter, by the way, is Chris Hemsworth's daughter.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Love, the one who then
Interesting.
ends up being with him at the end. Yeah, it's his actual daughter. His wife's in
Yeah.
the movie too. She's the pirate with the blue hair that he makes out with in one of the montages.
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Rapu is his name. And you
Yeah.
are correct.
So I mean that whole scene like of him wandering through, and then of course his daughter's dying, and then she does die, and then he's going
horrible,
on his
man.
search to find something. He's just trying to find out, what's the hell's going on. He wants to find his god, and he finds him, and he's just a piece of shit. And I guess the last person who had the necro sword tried to kill him, and he failed.
Yep.
Because he literally was like, oh, so what, do you come here to kill me too? I mean, that guy tried, it didn't work. And the necrosword's there, but I guess the necrosword like sent something in him because it like comes out of the ground, and Rapu does, I guess, as a god, he can't sense these things, and then he gets
Apparently not.
decapitated by
Well,
Gore.
yeah, because before Gore even gets to that oasis, he hears something whispering to him, and it's of course
Yes.
the
Yep.
Necrosword, which is really cool. It does. I think this movie starts out great. It's just
Yeah.
it sucks that it sets this awesome tone and it just
Yeah.
squanders most of it throughout the movie.
Like it's two different movies.
Yeah.
Like Christian Bale
Yeah.
wandered onto the wrong set. It's like, I don't think
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be here, but all right.
This isn't Batman.
I just I don't know. I think my overall census after watching these movies, I'm just over Thor. I'm just kind of sick of him. I'm just like, I don't care about this character as much as I guess I really never really cared much about him. I think for me with the Thor franchise, like Loki was a huge factor for me liking the Thor movies, and of course, like he's not in this, so it kind of didn't feel the same.
It helps when Loki's good to look at.
I mean,
He's pretty.
yeah. I mean, Chris Hemsworth. Listen, that man is holy shit in this movie.
Yeah, he's pretty jacked in this fucking movie.
He always is.
Well, he actually went apparently above and beyond with his exercises for this movie. He was like swole city.
Somebody had posted a video of him walking in just like his just like a tank top and pants and boots, and you could just see him from behind. I'm like, Fabio?
Oh yeah. I think he was in the outfit he was wearing in the beginning of this movie when he's with the Guardians. I'm glad the Guardians weren't in this for very long. And not for the fact that I don't like the Guardians. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I can't wait for Volume 3. Like I'm more excited about that movie than I think I am of any other than Wakanda Forever. That trailer is so fucking good. But
can't wait.
But just I'm just glad because I was like, I just feel this would have turned into a Guardians movie. And to be honest, maybe I would have been all right with it. But I'm glad they just kind of were like, yeah, the Guardians feel the same way I do about Thor. I'm just like, I'm fucking sick of this guy. Let's get the fuck out of here. I don't want to deal with this guy anymore. He's annoying.
Well, I feel they did the same thing with Thor that they did to Star-Lord in the last two Avenger films.
Mm.
Because like they literally took Thor, which was great, and I liked Thor, and like especially the not Endgame, but the whatever the first one was, Infinity War. Infinity War and well, I think it was good in both of them. But like he was an awesome, powerful, strong character. Showed how powerful he was, fighting Thanos and shit like that. And then of course he has a little lull at the beginning and Endgame or whatever. But he was cool in those movies. And Peter Quill was just like this incompetent dumb fuck. Like he was a wasted character in those movies, and they flipped him in this, and now Thor, just most of the film, I know he's supposed to be lost and finding his way or whatever. He just feels like an incompetent dumb fuck for a lot of the movie, and I hate that because he's supposed to be this powerful, noble character, and he's none of that.
I mean, I get all the shit he's been through. I mean, his parents are dead, his brother's dead, his Asgard is gone. It's completely obliterated. Like he lost Mjolnir, and he went through all the events of Endgame or of Infinity War and in Endgame, and he's just. I would understand the fact of him like, I don't want to fight. I just want to relax. I just want to just escape all this just like bad shit going on. But instead we get this clown, like he's a legit clown.
Yep.
And the jokes just don't land with him.
Yeah.
I'm just over this. And then at the end of this movie, it says he'll be back. And I'm like, give him a break, man. I'm done. I just want a break from this guy. But if you're going to make another Thor, make a Valkyrie movie. Just focus on her because Tessa Thompson rocks. She is awesome.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Where's my like Disney Plus show of like New Asgard, where it's just like the adventures of Valkyrie, being the king, king of. She's considered the king of New Asgard.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's credited as King Valkyrie.
Yeah, and just like and then she goes off and does like cool things, but instead like we get Thor, like legit. That's what he's like. Hey, everybody, I got a cool. And oh my god, can we talk about the fact that Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, whatever the fuck this stupid axe is called, is sentient now? Like they're like super, like they're like people. They're like the fucking axe is like jealous. It's like that whole thing made me so. I'm like, this is terrible.
It was dumb. It was so dumb. Like the first time it happened, I'm like, okay, it's a joke, right? I get it. Like it's supposed to be haha funny, but this is what I'm talking about. The joke for that shtick kept coming up. It's not funny. It's supposed to be an analogy for moving on to somebody else. You're like, oh, James was somebody else. It's fucking stupid. It was really dumb. Like the first time, it was like, okay, that's humorous. But then after that, it just kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And I'm sorry, they were like for like a couple times, but the goats got annoying for me as well very quickly. And again, Korg way overstayed his welcome because he narrates a chunk, big chunks of the movie, and then
I don't mind those.
The whistling stick with the goats.
Yeah.
It kind of like it just kept coming up and coming up and coming up.
I was sad though when I thought he died, but it's just his face. Like I was like, oh no, not Korg. Like as much as I wasn't enjoying him as much in this, I didn't want to see him get destroyed.
Actually, surprisingly, like, because I love Korg in Ragnarok. I love Korg and Beak. I thought they were great characters in Ragnarok. And, like, he died and got hit. I'm just sitting there, like, I had no reaction. I was like, well, I guess he's dead now. Like surprising, because I like those characters. I just felt nothing. I was like, okay.
No.
Okay.
And then she picks up his face and ties it in her hair.
Yeah, that was,
like,
I mean, one of the scenes that was really like that kind of threw me off with Korg was when they are going off into the shadow realm and Thor and Jane are having this actually really heartfelt conversation on the deck.
Yep.
And then it goes back to Valkyrie talking to Korg, and Korg's just going off about it's more of like comedy, but like he says like, oh yeah, so you know how we meet another, like pretty much Korg species, they're gay. They it's a man and a man. They hold hands over a fire, and it forms another Korg. I can't remember what the species of what he is.
Oh, what he is.
But do you know his species shows up in his race shows up in the second Thor?
Does it?
So in the second Thor, when you first see Thor, he's on a planet with all of his, all the people, all his former friends that are now dead. And the big rock thing comes and he does the thing and he smashes into a million pieces.
Yeah.
That's the same race as Korg.
Oh, all right.
I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Why not?
But I like that whole thing, like where it kind of threw off the conversation that Thor and Jane were having with the conversation. I feel like they were trying to like, oh, it's a similar conversation, but it's like, no, there's a lot more jokes in this one. And it's just like, it throws off the tone.
That's what I mean. It's like they have these serious moments or these serious times, and it's like it's either that or it's just a lot of comedy, which there tends to be more comedy that drastically offsets the serious tone they're trying to pay with Gore or Jane with cancer or Valkyrie dealing with, being king that she doesn't really want to do. I mean, she does, but she wants to go out and fight like she used to.
Yeah.
And like it's just, and then Korg is just. He's just a comedy relief, but like I said, they just use him way too fucking much. And Meek's in like one fucking scene in the whole movie. I just want to point that out.
I think so. Like my biggest thing is the fact that like Thor in Thor: The Dark World, of course, aren't very well received. Like I said before, probably low end Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had the Thor from like Dark World in this movie instead of the Thor we got, I think it would have made a better movie going up against Gore because of the way, like his demeanor. But I guess it's before a lot of the events happen, especially Ragnarok and all that stuff. So, but like just because like all these things happen, you turn into an absolute clown.
Well, or even the Thor from Infinity War.
Yeah.
Because he even had all that shit happen, and he's like, "No, we have to do this." Bubble, he didn't just like fucking give up. Oh,
I wish he didn't
you
grow his hair
know,
back. I wish he kept that same dude that he had in
the short like cut off
I
hair.
loved it. I love
It was
that
good.
look for him, but he grew it back for Endgame, so I guess it makes sense. I didn't mind the montages of Korg talking about like how Thor got back into shape again, and like the whole thing where he's doing the chain thing, and there's like looks like the Watcher or like his same species like in the background, like chained to the wall, and then
Yeah,
he's like pulling on the Milano.
yep.
I didn't mind that. I just didn't like the whole scene where they're like, the Guardians are fighting, and then they have the conversation where like Rocket, who is my favorite character in Guardians, is literally like, I thought this was supposed to be a vacation. And Thor's like walking through all casually, like, it is. This is nothing. And they're like, hey, you mind like helping us out? And then he just acts like a fucking clown. And he
Yeah, like
destroys that the temple. And to be honest, the main the guy who was like the leader of that planet, he sucked too, to be honest. I was like, I didn't like I understand, like, oh my God, thank you for saving us. What the fuck, man? Like, that's kind of what I was expecting, but it was more just like, it just went, I don't even know where I'm going with this. All I know is this is too much jokes, too much.
like I said, we lost the badass Thor. Like, I understand his character's going to change, but this was a huge change in his character. And I don't care for it. Like, I mean, it's okay to have some jokes and have some humor, but I just don't think there just wasn't a good enough balance. Because when it came down to him, like when they're fighting, it's just like, he's supposed to be strong, dude. Like he with the, Stormbreaker, he was like fighting Thanos and shit, right? And like, it just, you don't get any of that. I don't know. I don't feel it. I don't know. Oh, one thing I do have to complain about. I got my one big complaint for this movie, and you know exactly what I'm getting at when I start this. Anybody who listens knows this too. The scene toward the end with the fucking kids.
I like that.
Okay.
I didn't mind that.
Hold on.
I liked it.
Hold on. We know the precedent set in this movie, right? About Gore and his shadow creatures and how dangerous they can be, right? I understand that. He rallies a bunch of children, gives them
oh Jesus,
temporarily.
You're gonna be that guy, right? Or like a kid army. They got a kid army.
Yeah. So rallies this group of children to fight these shadow monsters, right? When he knows how dangerous they can be, this dude has killed gods before, but he's okay with sending children into battle.
But he gave
it doesn't matter, but other gods have died.
You want to know what they stole this from?
So
Shazam.
They
did, and I fucking hate that Shazam too.
It's literally the ending of Shazam. That is what this movie is.
And I was talking to my buddy, and I was bitching about that because Shazam should have been Shazam's outing to be Captain Marvel. Sorry, he's Captain Marvel, guys. So fuck off if you didn't know that. No offense. No, don't do that.
How rude.
He's Captain Marvel. Is who he is.
And were you excited for that trailer for Shazam 2?
No, not really. Unfortunately, I'm upset after how the first one ended, and it didn't go into. Mr. Mind better be in that movie, but that's beside the point. But the thing is, I just whatever. I just don't like that situation. Like, because it sets this precedence for him being dangerous. Like, nah, we're just gonna give superpowers to little kids, and they'll beat them up with bunnies and rocks.
They didn't beat Gore up. They were fighting his henchmen.
I understand that, but you saw them fighting the other Asgardians and stuff. Mind you, I know he gave them powers, but these are trained warriors, these other Asgardians, and they were dying. Yeah. It's this tonal thing that I'm talking about. It literally neuters the significance of Gore. Like, all right, we're gonna have all these little kids fight up and beat up his monsters, and they're not a threat. It's irrelevant. It literally takes the impact of the character away. Like, I'm going to give superpowers to little children, and they'll beat them up with a bunny rabbit.
I did like the bunny rabbit, though.
I'm just saying. It would be no different if, like, all right, dude, we're going to have a super powerful villain like Thanos or Kang, but we're going to have little kids beat him up because it'd be fucking hilarious. When when you're sitting this whole movie building this dude up about his fucking daughter being killed, dying, And this man trying to save his daughter, this whole journey and him becoming corrupt and slaying all these gods with some twisted vengeance. Nah, little kids are going to beat up with shadow monsters. That's the joke. I thought it was so poorly handled. I fucking hated it. I'm sorry. It was dumb as shit.
Oh.
That is my biggest complaint about this movie.
Have we said anything positive about this movie? I feel like
yes. Yeah, we did. We did. Because we we talked about gore. We liked the whole gore, like how he was.
Okay,
I liked his
I did talk about
his shadow monsters.
I like Jane.
I liked his.
I like Jane. I like her as the mighty Thor.
I like her sacrifice at the end of the movie.
I wish they showed us the whole thing, though. I wish it wasn't just she hears something, she goes to New Asgard, she sees the pieces of Mjolnir, and then and then she pops up when Thor comes back. Like, oh, who's that? Like, I wanted to see like the pieces. I guess that was shot. There was a scene where like the pieces come together, break out, and then it shows her transforming into the mighty Thor.
I liked her hammer. How it had like that.
Oh,
it
because
like break into pieces.
It's in pieces. Yeah,
it's really so cool. Fucking cool. I was like, yeah.
Cool. I wish it. Did it really? I feel like it probably did, but I just didn't pay attention enough. Did it explain why Mjolnir was killing her? Was it like preventing? Was it It was like the treatments were, or her being the mighty Thor was preventing her body from naturally fighting
it off.
Yeah,
it was just It was just literally causing it to disappear, because she was a completely different person when she's the mighty Thor.
Yeah, I thought the angle that the more she used it, the faster it killed her. Even though while she was mighty Thor, she was invulnerable essentially for the most part. She was Thor. She was like Thor. Oh, but I want to say
she faltered.
I would have been fine if Thor died and she became the new Thor. That would have been great. I'd be all about it.
I do want to state the fact that they technically, I don't think they technically beat Gore, because he did get to eternity at the end. Like, it was a good
I feel like they did in a more of a psychological way, because Thor convinces him to use his wish to get his daughter back instead of killing all the gods.
Yeah. Which, but I mean, like actually in battle, because he succeeds in making it to eternity. So technically, he got what he wanted, but he wanted to bring his daughter back.
What did we think of Russell Crowe as Zeus?
As much of a pompous asshole as I feel he should have been.
I just love that. Like, Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is he's getting older. It's been 22 years since Gladiator, where I think a lot of people are like, he don't look like. I was like, it's been 22 years since that movie came out. He doesn't look like that anymore. He's a bigger guy now, and he just doesn't. I just like that he accepts that. And I love. Did you like the accent? His Greek accent.
Yeah.
So he filmed all of his scenes twice. He did it in a normal. I'm guessing probably in his natural accent, which is Australian.
Yeah.
And then he did the Greek, and they're just like, this is funnier because it doesn't sound very good. It's terrible.
I liked it. I thought it was fun. I agree, because it filled like the rest of the gods. It felt like that was he was a pompous asshole.
Oh yeah.
Like they were, most of them were represented.
Zeus has always been portrayed as a pompous asshole, even in actual myths.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the man go around fuck all the women, like
absolutely
having babies with everybody.
Everybody.
Oh, everybody. Literally everybody.
We see about that at the very end of the movie.
But that's the thing, is so they go there to get the Thunderbolt because they feel that is going to be the crucial piece to help defeat Gore.
Well, actually, they wanted to get an army, and then they no.
Right. The gods are like, we're fine. We're here. As long as we're here, we're safe. We know he's out there, but why go fight him when we could just chill here? And Thor's like, the fuck, man? I worshipped you. I was like, you were like I was your biggest fan, pretty much. He's like, because I love how he makes fun of Thor, because he's like, oh, because I'm lightning, you got to be thunder.
Yeah.
I feel like they take a Cars reference.
Oh Jesus! You just see Zeus as he throws his lightning bolt, just ka-chow, and you're like, no, please God, no. But so Thor ends up getting the Thunderbolt, and throws it through Zeus's body. You see him fall like the Emperor at the end of Return of the Jedi down this just endless this endless hole. And then he just shows up like, it's like nonchalant. They're like patting his chest like they're healing him up. Like, wait. And they're like, hey, Hercules, why don't you go fight Thor? And I'm like, no one gives a shit about this. I don't care. I was so like, when I saw that post-credit scene, I'm like, okay, cool. So we're getting a Clash of the Titans 3. Cool.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So did it feel like the post-credit scene at the end of Eternals? You're like, Star Fox?
Was that the one where the dude from One Direction shows up? The one with the little elf, or the one voiced by Patton Oswalt shows up, and
it's Thanos' half brother or whatever he is, or
and the little elf guy looks
Titan.
fucking awful.
Yeah.
Harry Styles or whatever.
Yeah, Harry Styles. Yep. No, I was more excited about the Blade one, the post-credit scene where the guy's got the sword, and it's like, oh, you hear Blade's voice. You're like, oh.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, because he's supposed to be Black Knight. The guy who was going the sword was supposed to be Black Knight.
That's probably the best thing about that movie.
Fair point. And I did like the Celestials. I like the design for the Celestials, but that's about it. Yeah.
So, I like the whole. I kind of like the whole ending. I think the ending was good. I like the fact that like Thor convinces Gore to change his mind to get his daughter back instead, and then pretty much promises Gore that he would take care of his daughter. And her daughter's name is Love. So that's where you kind of get the title of this movie.
I thought that was weird as fuck.
Well, so I don't think that's where the title comes from. I think it also has to do with him and Jane's rekindled relationship.
Yeah.
But you see how like his daughter comes back, but you know, so Jane's like in rough shape. Pretty much they say, if you use the hammer one more time, you're going to die. Mm-hmm. And she does, because she knows that he needs help. And you see that she's going to Valhalla because she turns into the little gold flakies and flies away. And then we have to get the end credit scene where you see her going into Valhalla. Like,
just to have Idris Elba there. That was about it.
Yeah, how much they pay him to be there for 12 seconds?
I wish he would.
Yeah,
I wish they would have paid him a little bit more and had him yell, "We're going to cancel the apocalypse." Then I would have been really fucking happy. But it had nothing to do with this movie.
Heimdall's son, though. Oh my god, that whole scene where he pops up and him and Thor just going back and forth about his fucking name.
Talk about irrelevant comedy.
Oh my god,
Axel.
I don't even know what his actual name was, but he wanted to be called Axel.
Yes,
he just keeps calling him his real name, or they keeps calling him the other name, is the name Thor knows. Anyway, I'm just like, this is going on for far too long, and it needs to stop. Also, did we really need the play scene again, where it's the play that's going on that's recapping Ragnarok, and it's got fucking Melissa McCarthy?
Yes. I'm sorry. I love the acting trope. I'm glad they were back in this. Fucking Sam Neill was there.
He was in Ragnarok too.
I know, it was great. I love it. And then I love Matt Damon as Loki.
And then Luke Hemsworth, the older brother of Chris, was the Thor. I love how they show up later too, after the kids are taken. It's like, King Valkyrie, would you like us to go do a performance of? And she's just like, I don't fucking care. Get out of here. And Matt Damon in his terrible British accent.
I love
that. Wasn't a no. I love that. I'm sorry. I know that like that was another part that I liked, because I always liked the acting trope.
Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah,
this movie just overall just didn't hit the way that Ragnarok hit.
I know.
I feel there was some really good visuals, and then there was some really just visuals. But I feel like that's just how Marvel's been going. And to be honest, the things I've been seeing on the internet about Marvel and the VFX teams that they're hiring and how they're not being treated very well.
I've heard about this.
And a lot of crunch. And I mean, that's the problem. Marvel's putting out all this shit every year.
Slow it the fuck down.
They're not going to. Did you see all the announcements? Holy
I know.
shit. They got two Avengers movies coming out in the same year.
Yeah, somebody had posted all the movies that are coming out, and I'm like,
Oh,
I
fuck it.
had to blow it up. I'm like, I can't read them all because there's
Yeah.
so many.
I just
It's like,
it,
just slow down.
it
I
sucks
know they
that
won't because it
I mean,
makes them money.
yeah.
Put the dick down.
You know,
Put the dick down.
and I've been a fan of like I've been on this journey since 2008. I've been enjoying everything. I just don't want to see people, you know, stressing out and being treated like shit just so we can pump it. Like, are you serious, Marvel? Like, you could literally, you're never gonna go bankrupt. You're never gonna lose money. You're making
No.
billions of dollars on everything you make.
You remember like when the early days and it was like there was a Marvel movie like it was like every year like every one like once every year every other
Yeah.
year, and then we were like, oh shit, we're getting 2 this year,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then now it's like what 3 4
So you
come out
get
a
like
year.
3 movies, 4 shows, and
I don't even
and
fucking care
it's
about
tough.
shows,
It's
man.
tough for me when I'm watching these Marvel movies or even the Marvel shows. I'm just like, I want to be hard on some of the special effects, but I'm also like, now I'm reading all this stuff on the internet, on Twitter, and from reliable sources of just like these VFX teams are just being put through so much pressure and just treated like shit just to
Mhm.
make things look good. And it's like, well, give them more fucking time. Stop putting out 17 things a year. You don't need
Yeah.
this. I don't need it. I really don't. I really, if Marvel was just like, hey guys, we're gonna slow it down. We're gonna go back to 2 things a year. We're gonna do 1 movie and we're gonna do 1 show. I'd be like, all right, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people wouldn't because this is just their lives, but I'd be okay with it. I the first 4 or 5 years of the MCU was that's how it was.
Yeah, it was 1 movie a year. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I just want more. I want more recognition for these indie films, or not really indie, but like more of these films that people just aren't seeing in theaters because they're going every time you see like a movie come out. Like for instance, like Nope came out last week, which I can't wait to go see. And it's I've heard great things about it, but like it's like people are seeing it, but if it's going up against something that like a Marvel movie or even a Disney movie, it's so hard to compete with that. For one, it's
Yep.
rated R. And 2, it's just like more people are just going to be swarmed over to those things. And it's like, it sucks. As much as yes, I go to the theaters to see these things because I
Yep.
enjoy them. But I also, if my theater is showing, like, I'm going to go see Nope this weekend. I saw Black Phone. It's all about let these other movies breathe, man. You're not
Yeah.
going to lose that much money. Just chill the fuck out. But it's not going to happen. I can say all this. It's not going to change anything.
No,
Mm-mm.
it won't.
Well, that's Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't really have anything else to talk about here. I feel
Nope.
like a lot of negatives. I just want to state I didn't hate this movie, but I didn't love it. And to be honest, Phase 4 has been weird between movies and shows. It's you either get a good one or you get a why did I waste 6 weeks of my life watching that show?
It's just
Or-
it's like I said, it all feels very meandering.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I said, it doesn't have a positive direction on where it's going. It's like a filler. So
I'm getting Marvel fatigue.
I am too.
I mean, yeah, I say that in like 3 weeks that She-Hulk show will come out, and I'm like, well, I'm watching it. But I'm also at the point where I'm just not like, oh my God. I don't even know. What's the next Marvel movie coming out? Wakanda Forever?
Wakanda.
Oh
Mhm.
man, well, I am excited about that. It looks so
Mhm.
good. That trailer, I teared up a little bit. That trailer was so good.
Oh yeah. And they better do it justice, or I will be mad because you're missing the main man.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do there. But other than that, like as much as I like talking about Marvel, I don't, I hope that they figure their shit out with their VFX teams. I hope they treat them better. Stop,
Yeah.
just hire more people. If this is what's going on, just get more people in there. Like give more people jobs. Like clearly you don't have enough people doing this. You're not giving them enough time. So if you're not giving them enough time, give them more people. And clearly you can afford it with the
Yeah.
amount of money
Oh,
your movies are
yeah.
making.
Oh hell yeah.
So instead of making people crunch on shit they shouldn't have to, pay them more fucking money. Get more people.
Yep. That's too logical.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be the easy way.
So the next Fresh Cuts is going to be probably one that I'm going to be doing by myself because it's for 2 movies. One that I wanted to talk about a long time ago, but I couldn't get the scheduling down. So I'm going to be doing one where I'm going to be talking about The Black Phone. I know it's been out for quite a while, but I still want to do a fresh cut on it. And I'm going to be doing Nope at the same time. So it's going to be like a combo episode. And yeah, so that'll be the next fresh cut at some point. I couldn't tell you when. And I'm also going to be doing something similar for our Slice of TV. I'm going to be doing an episode where I talk about the Resident Evil show on Netflix and The Boys season 3. I think there was another show I was going to do. I don't remember. But me and Angela are at some point, once we can figure out when, we're going to be talking about Stranger Things season 4. It's going to be a Slice of TV, but it's going to be a little bit different than what we usually do on Slice of TV. So stay tuned for that. And that might, I mean, it's already been out for a while, but I'm still excited to sit down and talk about it because it's a great fucking show.
Soon.
Yes. Don't forget to check out our episode this Friday. It is if you are, I swear to God, like if you don't laugh while watching this episode or listening to this next episode of the podcast, then there's not a funny bone in your body, because we sat down with the amazing Dark Razor and talked about the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie, and it was editing it has made me laugh. Like I'm listening to what editing, and it's hilarious. I can't wait for people to. Even though I did have to cut out Dan's really bad joke.
Are you fucking serious? Damn it!
I had to. Listen, I've allowed some pretty bad things. Okay. That one I was like, I had to make the executive. I just had to make that decision, Dan. I'm sorry.
I even cited the source material. I even stated I was quoting a movie. I didn't even say like, yeah, I vouch for this.
You got to put the quote in the beginning. You got to say this is from this, and then say the line.
That's what I did, and it's not my fault if people don't listen to it. I did. I said the quote. I said it,
and it came out of context, and people would have stopped listening at that point because they would have been like, "This guy clearly doesn't like women."
Oh, yeah, that's me. I don't give a fuck what they think. But it's your show. You can do what you want.
I know Dan's gonna quit now just because I cut his joke.
I'll squeeze it in somewhere else.
He's left in.
I've left in some pretty on the red line things. So
yeah, that's true.
I had to make the executive decision. Listen, there are times where I've listened to things many times, and I'm like, should I leave this in? And I just do it. That one was like, I had to. Like, I wanted to leave it in, but I was like, just this one time. I'm sorry.
Okay, but no, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's your show. If it's your show, next time I'm gonna do it at some point in the future again and see if I can get it passed.
We're getting more people listening. We're getting like way more downloads on the show. I'm trying not to like. I don't want to anger the new fan base right off the rip.
Yeah,
you know,
chill out.
Hey, welcome to our show.
I won't be censored. He's got to cut me out, but I'm still saying it.
Oh my God. I want to thank, though, we've been getting a lot of downloads from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, what's that all about?
It's like 160 downloads in the last like 20 days from Saudi Arabia. So to all our Saudi Arabian fans out there, we appreciate all the downloads. Also Canada. We've been getting a lot of downloads from our friends up north. So we appreciate all of that. We've been killing it over on the podcast services. It's been a joy to check the numbers every day and see what we've been doing over there. So thank you to everybody who downloads the show. Thank you to everybody who's been subbing to the YouTube and leaving comments. Thank you to all the people who have been leaving comments on my tweets for stuff that we put in our new podcast episodes. It's this last 2 weeks have been like kind of crazy for the show, and I'm loving every minute of it. So thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you.
Before we get off, we already went off into a tangent, but before we get into something else, this has been Dissect That Film Fresh Cuts. I am Brett Parker. That is Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. We'll see y'all again next time. Bye-bye. Bye.